We now welcome into the call the head coach of the VCU Rams, Shaka Smart. Good morning, Coach Smart.
Good morning, guys.
Difficult week for you guys to end the season. A couple of close losses, a 4-point loss on the road at Drexel, and then a 3-point loss at home to James Madison. Talk about the two games a little bit.
Yeah, they were certainly heartbreakers. They were games where we had opportunities to win late in the game, but didn't make enough big plays, and at the same time give a lot of credit to Drexel and JMU for the plays that they made. Looking back on the week, it was certainly a rough one for our team. But if it was one that we can learn a great deal from, then we can use it, to our advantage going into the CAA tournament.
I know we talked a little bit a week ago. You kind of were in a similar situation after the Mason game, and you were able to regroup and pick up that huge win out at Wichita. How do you feel the confidence level of your team is now headed into this week after those two games?
Well, obviously it's not sky high because we're coming off a couple of losses, but we do have a group that has shown a lot of resiliency in the past, and a group that I think has a lot of internal confidence. It's just a matter of getting back to that confidence. And the great thing about, as Bill said, this weekend is everybody really is going to turn the page. Whether you're coming off a winning streak or a tough stretch like we have, you turn the page and you go to postseason play, and you get a chance to regroup to some extent.
Got a question for you in queue from Brian Mull at the Wilmington Star News. Good morning, Brian.
Shaka.
Hey, Brian.
Want to talk a little bit about just what do you feel like, what can you put your finger on as far as the slide at the end of the year? Just from the outside, it kind of looks like maybe the defense hasn't been as good in the last 2 or 3 weeks as it was earlier in the season. And if so, what aspect of the defense do you feel could be better?
Well, you're exactly right. There's a lot of aspects of defensively that where we could be better. I would also add that we've had some really tough nights offensively, and I think our offense at times, and specifically our shooting, has failed us in some key situations. We've had some big shots that did not fall in our last few games that probably would have made a huge definitely would have made a huge difference. But the defensive side is one that as a coach you should be able to depend on much more on a night in, night out basis. So you asked about specifics. I think it starts with defending the ball. I mean, there's a lot of good guards in our league. There's a lot of guys that can break you down on the dribble, and we have to do a better job individually of sitting down and guarding the ball handler. And in our last couple of games, particularly Saturday against JMU, we really had a hard time keeping the ball out of the lane. Devon Moore did a terrific job late in the game of just creating plays. So I'd say defending the ball, defensive rebounding is a huge key, because there's been a lot of possessions where we've done a nice job putting ourselves in position where we could get a stop, defending whatever play it is the other team runs, getting through screens, contesting shots. But the stop isn't complete until you wrap it up with a rebound, and we've had trouble at times with that. So those are two big areas specifically within our defense.
Thanks.
We're here with VCU head coach Shaka Smart. If you have a question for Coach Smart, just hit *1 on your keypad. We'll get to that question as soon as we can. Shaka, you have an interesting team. You've got the 4 seniors, but you also have a bunch of freshmen that are going to be going through this tournament experience for the first time. As you head into this week, how much do you lean on the experience of a senior group of some who were part of that title-winning team in 2009, and then your team last year that won a couple of games and lost that heartbreaker to Old Dominion in the semis?
Well, you're exactly right. We have to lean on our guys that have been to the tournament and have had success in the tournament, and our younger guys are going to have to follow suit. For us, we're going to need 5 guys on the floor locked in on doing whatever it is that we talk about doing, whether it's guarding the ball or blocking out and rebounding, or following the game plan in terms of stopping the other team. So whether you're a freshman or a senior or somewhere in between, you have to find a way to be in that moment and band together with those other four guys out on the court to create those plays. We'll talk about this week quite a bit what the tournament means and what it means to us, and really hoping that some of our older guys can speak up and help the younger guys understand what they're heading into.
Wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about that senior class, four guys who have had a pretty good impact on your program that you honored on Saturday. Talk about what they've meant to you in your 2 years as a head coach.
Well, they've done a lot of great things here at VCU, and they're guys that will not be forgotten. That's for sure. By me or any of the fans. Joey has led the way with this senior class, and his name's going to be all over the record books in terms of assists and steals and 3-pointers and total points and games won. Free throw percentage. He's just done a terrific job across the board. And I think he's, over his 4-year career, it hasn't been a situation where he's had the same role. I think his role has had to change pretty much each and every year. And I think he's done a nice job with that. Brandon Rozelle and Ed Nixon really made big strides between their sophomore and junior year. And that's something, obviously, that our coaching staff appreciates because that was the same time that we arrived, and I think they've been big-time contributors for our team in the last couple of years. And then Jamie Skeen has more than anyone on our team, made a huge jump forward between his junior and his senior year, and had an all-conference type of season. So excited about the progress he's made and watching what he does in the tournament.
A question for you in queue from Paul Woody at the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Go ahead, Paul.
Morning, Shaka. How are you today?
Hey, Paul.
You mentioned shooting a moment ago, and some big shots at crucial times haven't gone down. I'm wondering, has it been a challenge this year to find the one guy who is going to take that shot? In past years, there was Maynard, maybe last year looked for Sanders, but has there been any problem getting the mental mindset that, hey, we're going to look for this one guy or maybe two guys to do this for us?
Well, it's a really good question, and coming into this year, we had quite a few guys coming back that had some success putting the ball in the basket. Obviously, we for a couple of years here, we haven't had a takeover guy like Eric. Every coach would love to have that, but some years you just don't have that. I think Brad and Jamie have really stepped up, and they've been the most dependable guys to put the ball in the basket. Particularly earlier in the year, Brad was shooting a really high percentage, and I think all year long, Jamie Skeen has shot, over 50%, which is a great number. So those are two guys that we look for, but the challenge is the ball, especially as it comes down the floor, isn't necessarily in their hands. So you have to run something so that you can get them the ball, and then sometimes another player has to create a play. And like I said earlier, unfortunately, we've got some really good shots at times late in these games, these last couple of games, but they haven't gone, and that's that's something that happens in basketball. So for us to have success this weekend, we're going to have to make more of those shots, and then also we're going to have to defend better.
And my condolences to you and your wife for your loss there recently.
Thank you, Paul.
Tucker, before I let you go, you guys have the first round bye on Friday, but Saturday we'll face either Drexel or Towson. You've had close games with both of those teams, a split with Drexel in two close games, and then a 4-point game on the road at Towson. Talk about just the potential matchup with those two teams.
Well, it's a game that, regardless of which one of those teams we play, they certainly should have our guys' attention. Because, as you mentioned, all three of those games that we played against those two teams, very, very close, and could have gone either way, all three of them. We're fortunate to win two of them. So, we'll watch with a lot of close attention and excitement on Friday and watch what happens in that game. And then, we're going to need to come into Saturday and really play with a high level of toughness. because I think that's what it's going to take on our end to be mentally and physically tough in order to advance. And as I will tell our guys this week, when you get to tournament time, it doesn't matter so much what it looks like or how pretty it is. It's all about finding a way to advance and get to the next game, and that's what we got to do.
All right, Shaka, thanks as always for your time today and all season long, and we'll see you in Richmond later this week at the Coliseum.
I appreciate it, Rob.
Thanks.